In this After Effects tutorial, we're going to get us started with keyframes. Let's get to it. In After Effects, let's create a new composition. It doesn't matter how you create it. I'm just going to name mine keyframes, but you can name yours whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. And in here, let's add a solid layer. For that, just go to Layer, New, Solid. And I'm going to make mine kind of like bluish, like yay. You can make yours any color you want. By default, this solid is going to be the comp size. And there it is. I have one layer. I have my composition. I'm going to make this a little bit longer, but it's all good. I have a 15-second composition with my layer. Now, if I go under Transform and I change my scale to say, yay, that's roughly 24%. What I did was called a global change, because I changed its default value, but I didn't keyframe it. So for as long as this layer lives, it's going to be that size. It's going to be 24%. Now, if I want to keyframe the position, that simply means that I want it to move. So I want it to go, say, from left to right. So for that, I need to use keyframes. So what is a keyframe? A keyframe is a moment in time. A moment in time where you tell After Effects, I want for the value for this property to be this at this moment in time. Then you go to a different moment in time, you give it a different value, and After Effects interpolates or gradually goes between the first set of values and the second. And that's keyframing. So a couple of things. One keyframe and no keyframes are the same thing. You need a minimum of 2 keyframes to have animation, whatever that animation happens to be. 2 keyframes. The next thing is this. First, you decide when you want the keyframe and you move the playhead. When do I want for the animation to start? Not where, but when. In other words, when in time do I want for the animation to start? And in this case, it's like at 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to go to 1 second. And then I'm going to click on the stopwatch to the left of the word position because I want to animate position, so I need to talk to position. This is now can be confusing. Clicking on the stopwatch, even though it gave you the keyframe, doesn't necessarily give you the keyframe, even though it just did. Clicking on the stopwatch means that you are telling After Effects, hey, changes in time are now possible. Changes in time are possible. And After Effects just goes, oh, and by the way, here is a keyframe to help you get started with it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you move in time and then you want to create another keyframe and you click on the stopwatch again, you're not creating the other keyframe. What you're doing is deleting the one that you had because now you're telling After Effects, hey, After Effects changes in time are not possible. So clicking on the stopwatch enables the animation, but it only adds that first keyframe. All right, so here's how it works. When at 1 second or thereabouts, keyframe, and let's say I want this all the way to the left. When comes first? When, then what? When at 2.5 seconds, what? I want my clip to the right. And the interpolation occurs automatically. When at 3.5 seconds, what? I want for my clip to be here at the bottom. When at 5 seconds, what? I want my clip to be here at the top. And notice that each and every step, a new keyframe is being added automatically. Every subsequent space, every subsequent step, boom, is adding my keyframe. All I have to do is move in time, move this, move in time, do this. And I have my keyframes. Now, if I want to show only those keyframes or only keyframes that have been applied to this layer, I can select the layer and press the letter U as in unicorn. Now I can navigate through the keyframes using keyboard shortcuts. J takes me to the previous keyframe, visible keyframe that is. K takes me to the next one. This is important because if I want to modify a keyframe, I need to put my playhead on top of that keyframe. I can also use this keyframe navigator here. So that navigates to the next one. This navigates to the previous one. Say I want to change this keyframe. I really want it to be here. I can absolutely do it. But if I click and drag, what if I am not quite on top of the keyframe and then I do this? I just added a new keyframe, you know? And this, look, it's going to go like, yay, it's going to start moving, kind of sort of, faster, slower, and then really quickly because I have two adjacent keyframes. See, there's only one frame between these two, so the change is not going to be gradual. So make sure that you are using the keyframe navigators either here or J and K. I'm going to zoom out to navigate through your keyframes. If you forget all of this, you forget the key, you forget the keyboard shortcuts, whatever it is, scrub the timeline like this. Just move the playhead. And as you move it, press and hold the Shift key. And now your playhead is going to snap to markers, keyframes, that sort of thing. Beginning, end of layers, that sort of thing. So pressing and holding Shift as you drag this in the timeline, the playhead, is going to help you tremendously. I'm going to delete all of these keyframes except for these two, right? So left and right. I can change the timing of the keyframe. I can say, hey, you know what? I need you to begin at the beginning, and I need you to be about half a second. One of the best ways to do that is like go here to 15 frames and then move the keyframe as you press the Shift key, and now the keyframe snaps to the playhead. And now this animation lasts exactly half a second. I can click and drag like this. I can do a marquee select of the keyframes so that I can select them both, and I can copy. Control C on Windows copies, Command C on the Mac copies. And now I can position my playhead. Remember, when goes first? When do I want to paste this? I'll do it at 1 second, so 100. And now I can paste, which is Control V as in Victor on Windows, or Command V for the Mac. And now I just go left, right, left, right. I can select all of those keyframes by clicking on the word position. So by clicking on the name of the property that has the keyframes, and I can copy, Control C, and I can paste, copy again, and I can paste. See what I'm saying? So now left, right, left, right, left, right. I can select all of these. I can press and hold my Alt key, which is Option on the Mac. Option or Alt. And now I can click on that last one, and I can retime my keyframes like if it were an accordion. So this is obviously going to make him much quicker. Or this will make him much slower. I can copy, paste, as we saw, these keyframes. I can also add ones in the middle. All I have to do is in other words, move the playhead to where it needs to be, and then change the value, and the keyframe gets added automatically. If you don't like it, you can undo or simply delete the keyframe, and it goes back to what it had. Every single keyframeable property in After Effects is keyframed the same way. Move in time, change the value. Move in time, change the value. Move in time, change the value. But What if I want to go left to right? I want it to stay to the right for a little bit, and then I want to go left. I can copy just one keyframe, right? And then copy that other keyframe. And now in between these two, there's not going to be much of a interpolation. So I guess there's a little bit here. Let me get rid of this. Copy, paste. There's a little bit. I'm going to change this keyframe interpolation to linear. And now there shouldn't be an issue. So left, right, stays all the way to the right. Copy this, paste it here. So left, right, stay, and then go back left. And if I want the stay to be longer, I can just move those keyframes to the right. And there you have it. Stay, stay, stay. Okay, go. You are in charge of how the interpolation of your properties goes. In other words, how things move, how things change over time. About the last thing I want to show you here is a motion blur. So as you know, on a regular camera, you have a shutter that opens and closes, right? And if it opens and then something, if it opens and closes and it's kind of slow, and then something is moving, it's going to produce motion blur. Well, that makes the motion a little bit more believable, right? So I'm just going to delete these two. I'm just going to go here. I can turn on the motion blur by going to the switches and clicking on this switch right here. And see how this became a little bit more blurred? I can change the speed of this so that this starts here and this ends, say, all the way here. And now, see how now the motion blur is like more? That's because it's moving faster, right? And this is using kind of sort of a camera. So this goes to how After Effects thinks. And this is kind of sort of using a camera. So if I go to composition settings, and I go to advanced, I just want to move this. Do you see how for motion blur, there's a shutter angle and shutter face? I can change this. And every time I changed it, you're going to see a change here in the motion blur. I'm just going to do some ridiculous. There you go. And I'll change the shutter face also. See how that is a very different motion blur than what I had before. If I click OK, this is what I have. It's completely different. I can go back to the default, whatever it is. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the way that After Effects thinks is that it's always viewing through a camera. And because it's looking through a camera, you can change some of the properties of that camera to change the motion blur. All right? And that will go with anything that moves, whether it's position or something that rotates or text animation, that sort of thing. All right? All right, I think this brings me to the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.